The shrill ring of Mia Chen's phone cut through the peaceful morning silence of her apartment. Squinting at the screen, she didn't recognize the number, but answered anyway. One of the occupational hazards of running your own business. As a professional dog walker in the affluent Oakwood Heights neighborhood, random calls from potential clients weren't unusual. What was unusual, however, was the entitled tone that immediately assaulted her ears. "Hello? Are you the dog walker? I need you at my house in 30 minutes. No introduction, no pleasantries, just demands from a woman whose voice dripped with a particular brand of impatience that Mia had learned to recognize during her 3 years in business. "Good morning," Maya replied evenly, slipping into her professional persona. "This is Mia with Happy Tails Dog Walking Service. I'd be happy to discuss my services with you, but I should mention that I'm fully booked today. I might be able to fit in a new client starting tomorrow, depending on." "That's completely unacceptable," a woman interrupted. "My regular walker canceled last minute, and I have an important lunch meeting. You need to make an exception." Mia took a deep breath and glanced at her schedule on the tablet before her. 5 dogs in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, plus administrative work and an appointment with her accountant. The day was already packed tighter than a subway car at rush hour. "I understand the frustration of a last-minute cancellation," Mia said, maintaining her composure. "But unfortunately, I'm already committed to my existing clients today. I can offer you a spot tomorrow, or I can recommend some other services in the area who might." "Do you know who I am?" The woman snapped, her voice rising. "I'm Deborah Westfield. My husband is on the Neighborhood Association board. Everyone in Oakwood Heights knows us." Mia didn't, in fact, know who Deborah Westfield was, but she recognized the tactic. In a neighborhood where homes started at 7 figures, she'd encountered her fair share of clients who believed their wealth entitled them to special treatment. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Westfield, but my schedule really is full today. If you'd like to become a regular client, I'd be happy to add you to my roster starting tomorrow. My rates are $30 for a 30-minute walk, with packages available for regular service." There was a pause, and for a moment Mia thought she might have gotten through to her. $30 for walking a dog? That's highway robbery. Mrs. Westfield exclaimed. "Listen, I'll give you $15 cash. You can stop by on your way to one of your other clients. It's a small dog. 10 minutes tops." The audacity nearly made Mia laugh. Nearly. Instead, she maintained her professional tone. "I'm afraid my rates are non-negotiable, Mrs. Westfield. Dog walking is my full-time profession, not a hobby. My rates reflect the quality of service I provide, including insurance, reliability, and the peace of mind that comes with hiring a professional." "Fine. $20. That's my final offer. Again, I'm sorry, but that's not how my business works. I have set rates and—" "You're being ridiculous." Mrs. Westfield cut in again. "What kind of customer service is this? I'm offering you cash money to walk a dog for a few minutes. It's not like it's real work." Mia felt her cheeks grow warm. 3 years of building her business from nothing, of trudging through snow and rain, of dealing with difficult dogs and sometimes even more difficult owners, and still people thought what she did wasn't real work. "Mrs. Westfield," Mia said, her voice firm but still professional, "I understand you're in a difficult position, but I simply cannot help you today. I can text you the contact information for some other services that might be able to accommodate your emergency, or we can set up a meeting to discuss regular service starting tomorrow at my standard rates." What followed was a string of words that made Mia hold the phone away from her ear. When the tirade subsided, Mrs. Westfield's voice had taken on a dangerous calm. "You'll regret this. I know where your other clients live. I see you walking those dogs every day. You have no idea who you're dealing with." The line went dead. Mia stared at her phone, a chill running down her spine despite the warm September morning. She'd dealt with rude potential clients before, but something about this woman's tone felt different, threatening. With shaking hands, she added the number to her blocked list, trying to shake off the encounter as she grabbed her keys and headed out for her first appointment of the day. Little did she know, this was just the beginning. The morning unfolded normally enough as Mia made her rounds through Oakwood Heights. First was Baxter, the elderly golden retriever who moved at a glacial pace but whose gentle nature always started her day on the right note. Then came the rambunctious pair of border collies, Max and Molly, who required every ounce of her attention to keep them from darting after squirrels. By 11 o'clock, Mia was walking her 4th client of the day, a pug named Sir Winston who snorted with each labored step when a black Range Rover screeched to a halt at the curb beside her. The tinted window rolled down to reveal a woman in her 50s, blonde hair cut in an immaculate bob, oversized sunglasses perched on her nose despite the cloudy day. "So this is what fully booked looks like?" the woman sneered. Mia immediately recognized the voice from the phone. Deborah Westfield. "Mrs. Westfield," Mia acknowledged with a nod, continuing to walk. "As I explained, I'm with a client right now. You refuse to help me, but you have time for that." Deborah gestured dismissively at Sir Winston, who had paused to investigate a particularly fascinating patch of grass. My Pomeranian is 10 times more important than that ugly little thing. Sir Winston, blissfully unaware of the insult, continued his sniffing expedition. Every client is important to me, Maya replied evenly, quickening her pace. Again, I'm sorry I couldn't accommodate your last-minute request, but I'm happy to discuss scheduling you for tomorrow. The Range Rover crawled alongside them, Deborah keeping pace with the walking pair. A few neighbors had started to notice the odd procession, glancing over from their yards with curious expressions. I had to cancel my lunch meeting because of you, Deborah said, voice rising. Do you have any idea what an inconvenience that is? All because you were too lazy to spend 10 minutes helping me out. Mia took a deep breath. Mrs. Westfield, I'm currently working. If you'd like to discuss this further, please call my business line and leave a message. I'll get back to you when I'm done with my appointments. Don't you walk away from me? Deborah's voice reached a pitch that made Sir Winston cower behind Mia's legs. I demand you come help me right now. I'll pay your ridiculous fee. Several neighbors were openly staring now. Heat crept up Mia's neck, partly from embarrassment, partly from anger at being accosted in front of her clients' homes. She took out her phone. Mrs. Westfield, you're causing a scene. I'm going to have to ask you to leave me alone, or I'll need to call someone. Call someone? Deborah laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. Who? The dog walker police? No, Maya replied firmly. But what you're doing could be considered harassment. Deborah's face contorted with indignation. Harassment? I'm a respected member of this community. You're nothing but a glorified pooper-scooper who's refusing to do her job. A small crowd had gathered now. A mail carrier had paused his route, and an elderly couple had stopped their morning walk to watch the spectacle. Mia felt her professional reputation dissolving with each passing second of this public confrontation. Please leave me alone, Mia stated clearly. I am working, and you are interfering with my business. Fine, Deborah snapped, putting her car in park and stepping out onto the sidewalk. She was dressed in what Mia estimated to be at least $2,000 worth of athleisure wear, not a hair out of place. If you won't come to my house willingly, then I'll just take you there myself. She advanced toward Mia, who instinctively took a step back, tugging Sir Winston's leash gently to keep him behind her. Ma'am, you need to end that call immediately. Officer Jackson's voice had lost all its earlier patience. You're reporting a false emergency, which is a criminal offense. Deborah turned her back to him, continuing her dramatic performance into the phone. Yes, I'm in danger. There's a group of people threatening me on Maple Street. Please send more officers right away. She shot a triumphant glance over her shoulder at Mia, as if to say, now you'll see. A small crowd that had gathered was murmuring in disbelief. Patricia Thompson had her arm protectively around Mia's shoulders, while Sir Winston sat obliviously at their feet, having found an interesting spot to sniff. I cannot believe this is happening, Mia whispered to Patricia. All because I couldn't drop everything to walk her dog at half my usual rate. Some people in this neighborhood, Patricia replied with a disgusted shake of her head. You've been our dog walker for 2 years and Winston adores you. Don't worry, we won't let her get away with this. Officer Jackson stepped forward, his hand extended. Ma'am, I need you to end that call and hand me your phone. Don't you dare touch me, Deborah shrieked, loud enough that the 911 dispatcher could surely hear. They're trying to assault me now. 2 more patrol cars came screaming around the corner, lights flashing. The situation had officially spiraled beyond anything Mia could have imagined when she woke up that morning. As the backup officers approached, Officer Jackson went to meet them, speaking in low, urgent tones while gesturing toward Deborah, who was now putting on a show of trembling fear for the new arrivals. What's going on here? Asked one of the new officers, a tall woman with a no-nonsense expression. Before Officer Jackson could explain, Deborah rushed toward her. Officer, thank goodness. These people have been threatening me, and that officer, she pointed accusingly at Jackson, refused to help me because he's friends with them. The female officer's gaze traveled from Deborah to the group of neighbors to Mia and Patricia with the small pug, and finally to her colleague. Officer Jackson. Sergeant Brooks, this woman called in a false emergency, Jackson explained calmly. She accosted Ms. Chen here, who is a professional dog walker demanding services. When refused, she followed Ms. Chen on her route, falsely claimed one of Ms. Chen's clients' dogs was hers, and then when confronted with the actual owner, he gestured to Patricia, she called 911 rather than admit she was lying. Sergeant Brooks turned her cool gaze on Deborah. Is this true, ma'am? Absolutely not. Deborah's voice rose even higher. I was simply asking for help with my dog, and she jabbed a finger at Mia, refused to help me. Then when I saw her with a dog that looks exactly like my Mitzi, I was confused. Anyone would be. Patricia stepped forward, Sir Winston's leash firmly in hand. "This is my dog, Sir Winston. He has been my dog for 7 years, and Ms. Chen has been his walker for 2. I have all of his documentation, photos, vet records, everything on my phone if you need to see them." "That won't be necessary, ma'am," Sergeant Brooks assured her, then turned back to Deborah. "What's your name?" "Deborah Westfield," she replied, standing straighter. "My husband is on the Neighborhood Association board." "Yes, you mentioned that earlier," Mia interjected, unable to help herself. Deborah shot her a venomous look. "My husband is Daniel Westfield, a partner at Westfield, Johnson, and Barnes. Perhaps you've heard of his firm?" The officer's expressions remained impassive, clearly unimpressed by the name-dropping. "Mrs. Westfield," Sergeant Brooks said, "making a false 911 call is a serious offense, particularly when there's already an officer on scene addressing the situation. I did make a false call. I felt threatened by a dog walker and a pug." One of the other responding officers couldn't quite keep the skepticism from his voice. "You weren't here. You don't know what happened." Deborah's composure was cracking. She turned to the growing crowd of neighbors. "Did anyone else see what happened? Surely someone else witnessed this woman's aggression toward me." An uncomfortable silence fell over the group. Then from the back, a voice spoke up. "I saw the whole thing. I was walking by when it started." A young man in his 20s stepped forward, smartphone in hand. "I recorded most of it too," he added, holding up his phone. "The dog walker was just doing her job when this lady pulled up and started harassing her. Then she tried to grab the dog and claimed it was hers." "You were recording me without my permission?" Deborah gasped. "That's illegal." "Actually, ma'am," Sergeant Brooks corrected her, "recording a public place is perfectly legal." "Sir," she addressed the young man, "would you be willing to show us that recording?" The young man nodded and handed over his phone. The 3 officers huddled around it, watching the video with serious expressions. Mia could hear Deborah's shrill voice from the recording. "This woman has stolen my dog and is refusing to return him." When they finished viewing the evidence, Sergeant Brooks turned back to Deborah. "Mrs. Westfield, based on what we've seen and heard, you harassed Ms. Chen during her work, made false accusations of theft, and then made a false emergency call when confronted with the truth. These are serious offenses." The color drained from Deborah's face as the reality of her situation finally seemed to dawn on her. There must be some mistake. I was upset about my dog being alone at home. Surely you understand how a pet owner might overreact when worried about their fur baby? Your concern for your pet doesn't justify harassment or filing a false police report," Officer Jackson stated firmly. "Now we have several options here." Mia stepped forward. "Officers, if Mrs. Westfield is willing to leave me alone and never contact me again, I'd be satisfied with that resolution." The last thing she wanted was to get further entangled in legal proceedings with someone as vindictive as Deborah Westfield appeared to be. Deborah's eyes narrowed. "Oh, so now you're trying to act magnanimous, after all the trouble you've caused me." Sergeant Brooks held up a hand to silence her. "Mrs. Westfield, I strongly suggest you accept Ms. Chen's generous offer. Otherwise, we will be pursuing charges for misuse of emergency services, at minimum." A tense silence fell over the group as Deborah seemed to calculate her options. Finally, her shoulders slumped in defeat. "Fine, I'll never contact her again." And Patricia Thompson added firmly, "You'll stay away from my property and my dog as well." Deborah gave a curt nod, refusing to make eye contact with anyone. "All right then," Sergeant Brooks said. "Mrs. Westfield, my officers will escort you back to your vehicle. I suggest you go home and consider yourself fortunate that Ms. Chen is being so reasonable." She turned to Mia. "Ms. Chen, if you experience any further issues with Mrs. Westfield, please contact us immediately." As the officers guided Deborah back to her Range Rover, Mia let out a long breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. The crowd of neighbors began to disperse, many of them stopping to offer her sympathetic words or reassuring pats on the shoulder. "I'm so sorry this happened," Patricia said, squeezing Mia's arm. "You're the best dog walker in the neighborhood, and you didn't deserve any of this." "Thank you," Mia replied, her voice slightly shaky. "I appreciate your support." As Deborah's Range Rover pulled away from the curb, Mia felt an odd mixture of relief and unease. She should have felt triumphant the entitled Karen had been put in her place after all. But something in Deborah's final glare as she drove away left Mia with a sinking feeling that this confrontation wasn't truly over. She knelt down to give Sir Winston a reassuring scratch behind the ears. "Come on, buddy," she said softly. "Let's finish our walk. We both need to burn off some stress." As they continued their interrupted route, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that Deborah Westfield wasn't the type of person to admit defeat so easily. Despite the police presence and the witnesses, despite the video evidence and the humiliation, something told Mia that the woman would find another way to retaliate. She just didn't know how or when the next attack would come. The next 3 days passed without incident. Mia found herself jumping slightly whenever a black SUV drove by, but there was no sign of Deborah Westfield. By Friday afternoon, she had begun to relax, convincing herself that perhaps the woman had learned her lesson and moved on. She was finishing up with her last client of the day, a spirited Jack Russell named Pepper, when her phone buzzed with a notification. Opening it, she found a 1-star review for Happy Tails dog walking service on Google. Avoid at all coastis. This woman stole my dog and when confronted, called the police on me. The owner is rude, unprofessional, and dangerous. Would give 0 stars if possible. Go. Mia's stomach dropped. The review had been posted just 20 minutes ago. She quickly checked her other business profiles, Yelp, Facebook, Nextdoor, and found identical scathing reviews on each platform, all posted within minutes of each other. No, she muttered, her hands shaking slightly as she read through them. 3 years of building a spotless reputation, and now this. She knew how crucial online reviews were for a small business like hers, especially one built on trust. Who would hire a dog walker accused of stealing pets? As she hurried home, her phone dinged with an incoming email notification. From Daniel Westfield, Esquire. Subject, cease and desist. Defamation of character. Ms. Chen. This letter constitutes formal notice that you are to immediately cease and desist your defamatory statements regarding my wife, Deborah Westfield. Your false accusations have caused my wife significant emotional distress and damage to her reputation in the community. We have evidence that you have made false statements to law enforcement and neighbors regarding an incident on Tuesday, September 15th. Should you fail to issue a public apology and retraction within 24 hours, we will be forced to pursue legal action against you and your business. Sincerely, Daniel Westfield, Esquire, partner, Westfield, Johnson, and Barnes. Mia stared at her phone in disbelief. This couldn't be happening. Deborah had been the one harassing her, making false claims and calling 911 under false pretenses, all of which had been witnessed by neighbors and recorded on video. And now her husband was threatening Mia with legal action? Her phone buzzed again. A text from Patricia Thompson. Mia, have you seen what that awful woman is posting about you on the neighborhood Facebook group? Don't worry, several of us are setting the record straight. Call me when you can. By the time Mia reached her apartment, she felt physically ill. She collapsed onto her couch and pulled up the Oakwood Heights Community Facebook page. There it was, a long, detailed post from Deborah Westfield describing how she had been assaulted by an unstable dog walker who had connections with local police that allowed her to get away with theft and intimidation. The comments section was a battlefield. Several of Mia's clients had jumped to her defense, but others, people who didn't know her personally, were expressing shock and concern. Some were even tagging the local news stations, suggesting they investigate this corruption. Mia's phone rang. It was Patricia. Have you seen it? Patricia asked without preamble. I've seen everything, Mia replied, her voice hollow. The reviews, the cease and desist email, the Facebook post. That woman is unhinged, Patricia said firmly. Listen, Daniel is bluffing. My husband is also an attorney, and he says they have no case. If anything, you could sue them for defamation. The police report and witness statements all back you up. I can't afford to go up against a law firm, Patricia. I'm just a small business owner trying to make ends meet. You won't have to. Mark is willing to represent you pro bono if it comes to that. He's furious about this whole situation. Mia felt a surge of gratitude. That's incredibly generous, but I don't want to drag your family into this mess. We're already in it, Patricia replied firmly. Winston and I are star witnesses, remember? Besides, this neighborhood needs to stand up to bullies like the Westfields. They can't keep throwing their weight around just because they have money. As they talked, Mia's phone pinged with more notifications. She put Patricia on speaker and opened her email to find messages from 3 different clients, all expressing concern about the online accusations. I'm losing clients over this, Mia said, her voice breaking. Everything I've worked for. Not if we have anything to say about it, Patricia assured her. Mark is drafting a cease and desist letter to the Westfields right now, and I've already reached out to Officer Jackson and Sergeant Brooks. They're furious about the false accusations against the police department. Another notification popped up, text from a number Mia didn't recognize. So what's happening with that crazy lady from Oakwood? I'm the guy who recorded the video. Happy to send it to you if it helps. These entitled people need to be stopped. Mia felt a small flicker of hope. The young man who recorded the incident just texted me, she told Patricia. He's offering to share the video. Perfect. That's exactly what we need. Mark says the best defense against defamation is truth. If we can get that video circulating, it will completely undermine her story. As they were speaking, Mia's phone buzzed with yet another call, this time from a number with the local news station's area code. Patricia, I think a reporter is calling me, Mia said, her anxiety spiking again. Answer it, Patricia urged. This could be your chance to get ahead of the story. Mia took a deep breath and accepted the call. Hello, this is Mia Chen. Ms. Chen, this is Jordan Taylor from Channel 8 News. We've received some interesting information about an incident involving you and a prominent local attorney's wife. Would you be willing to give us your side of the story? Mia closed her eyes, trying to center herself. This was escalating faster than she could have imagined. A simple declined dog walking request had somehow spiraled into a community scandal that was now attracting media attention. Ms. Chen, are you there? She thought of all of her clients who depended on her, of the business she had built from nothing, of the trust she had earned in the community. She thought of Deborah Westfield's smug face as she made that false 911 call, confident that her wealth and connections would shield her from consequences. Yes, Mia said, her voice stronger now. I would very much like to tell my side of the story, and I have witnesses and video evidence to back it up. As she arranged to meet with the reporter later that evening, Mia felt a strange calm settle in over her. The Westfields had picked the wrong dog walker to bully. They might have money and connections, but Mia had something more powerful, the truth and a community that was rallying behind her. What had started as a simple refusal to work for less than her standard rate had somehow turned into a very public battle between entitlement and integrity. And despite the anxiety churning in her stomach, Mia was beginning to think that perhaps this confrontation needed to happen, not just for her sake, but for everyone who had ever been bullied by people who believed their wealth put them above the rules. She ended the call with the reporter and immediately dialed back the young man with the video evidence. The Westfields had declared war, but Mia was not going to surrender her reputation without a fight. We live in 5, 4, 3. The cameraman silently mouthed 2, 1 before pointing at Jordan Taylor, who stood on the sidewalk in front of the Oakwood Heights Community Park. Good evening, I'm Jordan Taylor with Channel 8 News. Tonight, we bring you an exclusive story about power, privilege, and what happens when a simple service request turns into allegations of theft, police corruption, and defamation. It's a story that has divided one of the city's most affluent neighborhoods. Mia watched from just off camera, her heart hammering in her chest. When she had agreed to the interview, she hadn't expected it to become the lead story on the evening news. Yet here, she was about to tell her side of the story to thousands of viewers across the city. With me tonight is Mia Chen, owner of Happy Tails Dog Walking Service, who found herself at the center of a neighborhood controversy after declining to walk a new client's dog. Mia, thank you for joining us. The cameraman swung toward her, and suddenly Mia was on live television. She straightened her shoulders, remembering Patricia's advice. Speak your truth clearly and calmly. Don't let them see you rattled. Thank you for having me, Jordan. Let's start at the beginning. You received a call from Deborah Westfield on Tuesday morning. What happened? Mia recounted the phone call clearly and concisely, careful to stick to the facts without editorializing. She described Deborah's demand for immediate service, the attempt to negotiate her rates down, and the threatening tone when Mia declined. And then what happened? Jordan prompted. As Mia described the confrontation on the street, Deborah following her on her route, falsely claiming Sir Winston was her dog, and ultimately calling 911 despite an officer already being on scene. Jordan's expression grew increasingly incredulous. These are serious allegations, Jordan said. What evidence supports your version of events? There were at least a dozen witnesses, including the dog's actual owner, Patricia Thompson. Officer Jackson was on scene before the 911 call was ever made. And perhaps most importantly, Mia added, the entire incident was recorded by a bystander. Jordan turned to the camera. Channel 8 has obtained exclusive footage of the confrontation. We should warn viewers that it contains disturbing behavior and language. The station cut to a slightly blurry but clear enough video showing exactly what Mia had described. Deborah accosting her on the sidewalk, attempting to take Sir Winston's leash, and then making the 911 call despite Officer Jackson's presence. When the camera returned to the live shot, Jordan continued. Mrs. Westfield and her husband, attorney Daniel Westfield, declined our request for an interview but sent a statement claiming that Mrs. Westfield was confused and concerned for animal welfare, and that the situation has been grossly misrepresented. They've accused you of defamation and threatened legal action. Mia nodded. Yes, I received a cease and desist letter yesterday, despite the fact that I haven't made any public statements until now. Meanwhile, Mrs. Westfield has posted false reviews of my business and made serious allegations against me on social media, including claims that I steal dogs and have corrupt relationships with local police. How has this affected your business? I've had several clients contact me with concerns. 3 have already canceled my services based on Mrs. Westfield's claims. As a small business owner who relies entirely on my reputation for trustworthiness, this kind of defamation could be devastating. We also spoke with Sergeant Laura Brooks of the City Police Department, who confirmed that officers responded to a 911 call that was determined to be unfounded. Sergeant Brooks stated that making false emergency calls is a serious offense that diverts resources from genuine emergencies and could potentially lead to criminal charges. Mia had not known the police would be commenting on the record, and she felt a surge of vindication. We're joined now by Patricia Thompson, owner of Sir Winston, the dog at the center of this dispute. Jordan continued as Patricia stepped into the frame. Patricia was the picture of upscale respectability in her cashmere sweater and pearls, exactly the kind of Oakwood Heights resident viewers would find credible. Sir Winston has been my dog for 7 years, she stated firmly. Mia has been his walker for 2 years, and she's always been the utmost professional. What happened on Tuesday was nothing short of harassment, and the attempt to claim my dog was hers was both disturbing and bizarre. And had you ever met Mrs. Westfield before this incident? Jordan asked. Only in passing at neighborhood functions. We're not in the same social circles, Patricia replied diplomatically. The interview continued with Jordan speaking to the young man who had recorded the video, then to a legal expert who explained that the Westfield cease and desist letter had no merit given the evidence, and that in fact, Mia would have grounds for a defamation suit against them. As the segment wrapped up, Jordan turned back to Mia. Finally, what do you hope comes from sharing your story? Mia took a deep breath. She had thought carefully about this answer. I hope that people remember that service providers are human beings deserving of respect. I hope that wealth and connections don't shield people from the consequences of their actions. And I hope that my small business, which I built through hard work and dedication to my clients, both human and canine, isn't destroyed by false accusations. Thank you, Mia. For Channel 8 News, I'm Jordan Taylor. The cameraman signaled that they were off the air, and Mia exhaled shakily. You did great, Jordan assured her, extending a hand. Really powerful stuff. This will definitely get people talking. As they were packing up the equipment, Mia's phone buzzed with a text from Patricia. You were amazing. The neighborhood Facebook group is exploding. People are sharing the news segment already. Then another text came in, this one from an unknown number. Just saw you on the news. I fired that horrible Westfield woman as my real estate agent last year when she tried to bully me into dropping my asking price. She's done this kind of thing before. Call me if you need another witness for your case. Within an hour, Mia's phone was overwhelmed with messages. Former clients offering support, current clients assuring her they weren't going anywhere, even strangers expressing solidarity and offering to hire her services. The Oakwood Heights community page had transformed overnight, with posts after posts from residents sharing their own negative experiences with the Westfields. By morning, a local morning show had picked up the story, dubbing Deborah the dog-walking Karen, and using the incident as a launching point for a discussion about entitlement and the treatment of service workers. Mia was making her morning coffee when her phone rang. Mark Thompson, Patricia's husband. Mia, I thought you should know. I just got off the phone with Daniel Westfield's law partner, James Barnes. Mia's stomach tightened. And they're withdrawing the cease and desist. Furthermore, Deborah has been instructed to remove all her negative reviews and social media posts about you immediately. Really? Mia could hardly believe it. Really? Apparently, the firm is not happy about being associated with this situation. Daniel has been instructed to handle his household before it further damages the firm's reputation. Mia sank into a kitchen chair, relief washing over her. So it's over. Almost, Mark replied, and she could hear the smile in his voice. Barnes also said they're prepared to offer you a settlement to avoid any potential defamation lawsuit from your side. He mentioned a figure that would more than compensate for any lost business and emotional distress. Mia's mind reeled. A settlement? From the high and mighty Westfields. And one more thing, Mark added. Deborah has been removed from the Neighborhood Association Planning Committee, effective immediately. Apparently, several board members were not pleased to be associated with someone who misuses emergency services and harasses local business owners. After ending the call, Mia sat in her sunny kitchen, trying to process how quickly everything had turned around. Her phone pinged with a notification. Someone had left a new 5-star review for Happy Tales. Mia is not only an outstanding dog walker, but also a person of integrity who stood up against bullying and entitlement. Our community is lucky to have her. Highly recommend her services. Officers. Mia smiled, recognizing Officer Jackson's subtle show of support. She picked up her coffee and headed to her balcony, where the morning sun was bathing the neighborhood in golden light. Her first client of the day wasn't for another hour. For now, she could enjoy this moment of victory, not just for herself, but for every service worker who had ever been treated as less than worthy of basic respect. As she sipped her coffee, she couldn't help but wonder what had happened to Deborah's dog. The one that had supposedly been left alone while its entitled owner tried to bully a stranger into providing discounted services. She hoped the pup had eventually gotten its walk. After all, none of this had been the dog's fault. In the end, Maya reflected the incident that had threatened to destroy her business had instead made it stronger. Her appointment book was now filled for weeks ahead, and the community had rallied around her in a way she never could have anticipated. Sometimes standing your ground was worth the risk, even when, perhaps especially when, the person pushing you was used to getting their way. 3 months later, on a crisp December morning, Mia stood at the entrance to Oakwood Heights Park, surveying the festive scene before her. Dozens of dogs in holiday sweaters and antler headbands romped through the designated off-leash area while their owners chatted and sipped hot chocolate from a stand she had arranged. The large banner hung over the entrance, First Annual Happy Tales Holiday Potty, benefiting the city animal shelter. "This turnout is amazing," Patricia exclaimed, coming to stand beside Mia. Sir Winston waddled along at her feet, resplendent in a tiny Santa costume complete with beard. "You must have at least 50 dogs here." 57, according to registration, Maya replied with a smile. "We've already raised over $3,000 for the shelter." In the months since the incident, as it had come to be known in Oakwood Heights, Mia's business had flourished beyond her wildest expectations. The video of Deborah's meltdown had gone viral, bringing Happy Tail's dog walking service national attention. Mia had been featured in articles about standing up to entitled customers, and she even appeared on a morning talk show segment about small business owners who had overcome adversity. The settlement from the Westfields, which she had initially been reluctant to accept until Mark convinced her it was both fair compensation and necessary accountability, had allowed her to expand her business. She now employed 3 part-time walkers to help manage the increased client load, and she had launched a line of eco-friendly dog accessories that were selling briskly at the event. "Have you seen the new family in the Westfields' old house?" Patricia asked, gesturing toward a young couple playing with a golden retriever puppy near the agility course Mia had set up. "They moved in last week. Apparently, they're both veterinarians opening a new practice in the neighborhood." Mia nodded. The Westfields had put their house on the market just weeks after the incident, moving to a different upscale community across town. Rumor had it that Deborah couldn't handle the cold shoulders and whispered comments that followed her around Oakwood Heights. Daniel had transferred to his firm's downtown office, allegedly to be closer to the courthouse, but everyone knew the real reason. "They seem nice," Mia observed. "They already signed up for daily walks and asked about training services for the puppy." Sergeant Brooks approached, out of uniform and holding a leash attached to a dignified senior German shepherd. "Ms. Chen, this is quite the event you've put together." "Thank you for coming, Sergeant," Maya replied warmly. "And thank you again for everything you did." Brooks waved away the gratitude. "Just doing my job. Though I have to admit, it's not often we get to see justice served so publicly." She smiled. "By the way, the department's K9 unit was very appreciative of your donation of those cooling vests for the summer. The handlers asked me to pass along their thanks." Mia had used a portion of the settlement money to purchase specialized equipment for the police dogs, a gesture that had further cemented her positive relationship with the local department. "I'm just glad I could help," Mia said sincerely. "Will Officer Jackson be stopping by? I saved one of those vests for his new partner. He's on duty today, but he said he'd try to swing past." Brooks lowered her voice. "Between you and me, that video he submitted to our training department about how to handle civilian disputes has become required viewing for all new officers. Your incident is literally helping train the next generation." Mia couldn't help but laugh at the irony. The very confrontation that had threatened to destroy her reputation had instead made her something of a local legend, not just among dog owners, but within the police department as well. A commotion near the entrance caught her attention. A local news van had arrived, and Jordan Taylor was setting up for a live segment about the charity event. Upon seeing Mia, the reporter waved enthusiastically. "Your 15 minutes of fame isn't quite over," Patricia observed with amusement. "Apparently not," Mia agreed, waving back. The media attention had been unexpected, but she had learned to use it to shine a light on causes she cared about, like today's fundraiser for the animal shelter. As she made her way over to Jordan, she was stopped by a timid tap on her shoulder. Turning, she found herself face to face with a teenage girl holding a leash attached to a familiar-looking Pomeranian. "Excuse me, are you Mia? From Happy Tales?" "That's me," Mia confirmed with a smile. "What can I do for you?" The girl shifted uncomfortably. I'm Sophie Westfield, Deborah's daughter." Mia froze, her smile faltering slightly. She hadn't known the Westfields had a daughter. The young woman looked nothing like her mother. Her expression was open and uncertain, lacking any of Deborah's entitlement or aggression. "I wanted to apologize," Sophie continued hurriedly, as if afraid Mia might walk away, "for what my mom did to you. It was horrible, and I was too scared to say anything at the time, but I should have." Mia's expression softened. "That's very kind of you, Sophie, but you don't need to apologize for your mother's actions." "I know, but still." Sophie glanced down at the fluffy Pomeranian sitting patiently at her feet. This is Mitzi. She's the dog my mom was so worried about that day. I was supposed to walk her after school, but Mom didn't want to wait. She always gets like that when she thinks she deserves special treatment. Mia knelt down to offer her hand to Mitzi, who sniffed it curiously before giving a tentative lick. "Hello there," she said softly to the dog, and looked back up at Sophie. "She's beautiful." "Thanks." Sophie hesitated. "I know it's awkward, but I was wondering if you might have any openings in your schedule. I'm leaving for college next fall and my parents are splitting up, and no one will be home to walk Mitzi during the day. I've been saving for my part-time job to pay for it myself." Mia straightened, studying the girl thoughtfully. It would be easy to turn her away and hold the mother's sins against the daughter. But looking at Sophie's earnest face and the way she gently handled her dog, Mia could see none of Deborah's entitled nature in her. "As it happens, we might have an opening," Mia said after a moment. "Why don't you come by the registration table and we can work out the details?" The relief and gratitude on Sophie's face was immediate. "Really? Even after everything that happened?" "Dogs shouldn't suffer because of their owner's mistakes," Maya replied simply. "And from what I can see, Mitzi is lucky to have someone who cares about her as much as you do." As they walked together toward the registration table, Mia reflected on the strange journey of the past few months. From a random phone call that had nearly destroyed her business to becoming a local celebrity with a thriving company. From being harassed on a public sidewalk to hosting a community charity event that would help dozens of shelter animals find homes. And now, in the most unexpected twist of all, she was about to add the Westfield family dog to her client list. Life had a strange way of coming full circle. Later, as the event wound down and the December sky darkened early, Mia found a quiet moment to sit on a park bench with Pepper, the Jack Russell who had been with her on the day the negative reviews appeared. The dog curled contentedly in her lap as she watched volunteers taking down decorations and vendors packing up their booths. Officer Jackson had indeed stopped by, bringing not only his new canine partner but also the young man who had recorded the viral video. The latter was now dating one of Mia's new dog walkers, another unexpected connection forged from that fateful day. Patricia joined her on the bench, passing her a cup of hot chocolate. "Penny for your thoughts?" Mia sipped the warm drink thoughtfully. "I was just thinking about how differently things might have turned out if I had given in that day, if I'd agreed to walk Deborah's dog for half price just to avoid confrontation." "You would have taught her that bullying works," Patricia observed. "And I would never have known how many people would stand by me when it counted," Mia added. "I wouldn't have expanded the business or started the accessories line or held this event. Sometimes standing your ground is the hardest thing to do in the moment, but the best thing in the long run," Patricia said, "especially when facing someone who's used to getting their way through intimidation." Mia nodded, scratching Pepper behind the ears. "You know what the strangest part is? In a weird way, I'm almost grateful to Deborah Westfield. Her attempt to bully me ended up changing my life for the better." "Poetic justice," Patricia agreed with a smile. As the last of the holiday lights were unplugged and the park fell into twilight, Mia gathered her things and prepared to head home. The Happy Tales holiday party had been an unqualified success, raising money for a good cause, while further cementing her business's stellar reputation in the community. All because she had refused to walk a dog for less than she was worth. Sometimes, Mia reflected as she walked home with Pepper trotting happily beside her, the most important moments in life come disguised as problems. And sometimes standing firm in your own value is the first step toward discovering just how much the world agrees with that assessment. She couldn't wait to see what the new year would bring.